Hello readers, today we're going to be comparing and contrasting themes in different stories that were written by the same person. So, we remember about compare and contrast, right? I'm going to write them right here. Compare and compare. Compare means to find out the similarities between two things. What is the same? Contrast, I bet you know this. Contrast. What is different? Now, if you're watching this means that you have either heard the story about Quiet Please, Owen McPhee from me when I read it on Friday, or you listened to it on the link in your DLD page. So you should have heard that story, and you should have already heard The Invisible Boy too, in the read-along link that was on my DLD page too. Now those two stories were written by the same person, but they might have different themes, and that's what we're going to learn about today, is how to figure that out. Okay? So, one way to do this is to use the events in a story, first the one story, to figure out what you think the theme is. Remember, the theme is the overall picture of the whole story, what the author's trying to say. So, you're going to look at the plot, and you're going to look at the things that happen in the story to decide what the theme is on the first story. And then you're going to look at the things that happen in the plot to decide what the theme is in the second story. And after you do that, then you can compare and contrast the two themes. Okay? So, let's start with The Invisible Boy. I'm going to write number 1. Because that's our first story that we're going to compare. And it is called The Invisible Boy. I'm going to underline it because, of course, it's the title of a story. Now, first let's talk about the plot. Remember, guys, the plot is the things that happen in the story. Now, the plot is that the main character, Brian, remember how he felt? He felt kind of ignored by everybody. And because he felt ignored by his friends in school and even by his teacher, he felt like he was invisible. It's kind of sad, isn't it? The beginning of that story made me feel a little sad. Okay, so we're going to say Brian felt invisible because he was ignored by students. So, is that all that happens in the book? No, something happens, right? Something good happens next. A new student comes to school. Do you guys remember? His name was Justin. Justin comes to school. And remember what Brian did? Brian is really good at art. And so he made a pretty picture, actually a cool picture, and a note, a nice note. So he wrote, and let me change that to Brian, right? Brian wrote a nice note to Justin. And then Does Justin like it? He does, because he's new too, right? So Justin and Brian become friends. And then once they become friends and Brian starts to get to know some of the other kids and work on a project, does he feel invisible anymore? No. So they become friends and Brian doesn't feel invisible anymore. Don't worry if you can't read everything on this. I'm going to put a screenshot in here for you so you can see it. Does not feel invisible. Okay. So that's the plot. That's what happened, right? We've got the beginning, we got the middle, we got the end. That's the plot. Now we have to think, what is the theme? Okay? And the theme is the big picture. So, if I was going to think about it, I would think, okay, Brian is sad. He doesn't have any friends. And then he gets some friends and people start to listen to him. He's very quiet, right? And then he becomes happy and he feels special. So I would say the theme is friendship makes you feel important. Does everybody agree? I feel like when I feel like I have a friend who listens to me, I feel important too. So I think that's the theme of The Invisible Boy. Now, we're going to talk about this one. Quiet Please, Owen McPhee, because that's our second story by the same author. In fact, her name is, what did I do with that book? Her name is Trudy Ludwig, and she is the author of both of these books. All right, second book. Quiet Please, Owen McPhee. What do I do when I'm done to show that it's the name of a story? Underline, right. Quiet Please, Owen McPhee. Now, I already can see some things that are different that I could contrast between these two books and these two characters, but I'm not going to say it because you're going to tell me in a little while. All right? Let's do the plot. Owen is not quiet, right? Owen talks so much, he doesn't listen to others. So Owen talks so much. He doesn't listen to anyone. We can think of some examples in the book about that. Maybe where they were doing the volcano, when they're making the experiment, and he was talking, and he did not listen, and he put too much baking soda in and ruined the experiment for everybody. Yeah, so that's one example of that. One day, that's the beginning, middle, one day, he loses his voice. because he talks too much. Owen loses his voice. Remember why? They had a long name for that, laryngitis. That's what happens when you use your voice too much. So he talked so much that his voice just went away. So because of that, all he could do was write notes to people. And what it made him do, because he couldn't talk, he started to listen to what people were saying. All right? So he started to listen to his friends and when he does that, he starts to make friends. He didn't have friends in the beginning, did he? Think about it. He was just annoying everybody. Nobody could even talk or try. They were trying even to talk to him and make friends with him, but they couldn't because he just kept talking. So he had no friends at all. So he listens to his friends. I'm going to say listens to students because they're not his friends quite yet. Other students and makes friends. Beginning of our plot, Owen talks so much he doesn't listen to anybody. Middle, one day Owen loses his voice. End, he listens to other students and he makes friends. Now, let's think. That's the plot, that's what happened. Now we have to talk about the theme. Last thing to do. What is the story all together about? Is it all together about that Owen lost his voice? Mm-mm. Is it all together about that he talks too much? Mm-mm. Let's think. What happened that's important that changes things? He starts to listen. So maybe the theme is, what's more important, listening or talking? I can't decide, but I think maybe the theme is listening is as important as talking. I'm going to write that. Listening is as important as talking. I'm thinking about Brian and the Invisible Boy. All he did was listen. Was that good? No, he was lonely and he felt invisible. And then I'm thinking about Owen, and all he does is talk and he doesn't listen. Is that making him happy? Mm-mm. So, friends, here's our two stories that we've listened to and read. The Invisible Boy and Quiet Please, Owen McPhee. What you're going to do on the discussion board today, and there'll be directions for you there, is you're going to compare and contrast the two stories. I want you to contrast the setting. Remember the setting? Where are they? Could they be the same setting, a different setting? A plot. Some things that might be the same and some things that might be different about the plot. And I want you to compare the themes. Compare and contrast the themes. Okay? I can't wait to read what you write.